All right, Reggie. Vikings kicked off their final practice with mandatory veteran minicamp. That goes until Thursday before a nice long summer vacation, eventually returning at the end of July for the start of training camp, of course, at TCO facilities. ESPN's Kevin Seifert tweeted out yesterday's practice was indeed identical in format to the OTAs we've already seen, starting with NFL officials finally on hand and referring to refereeing 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 portions of practice. Remember, refs are people too. They got to shake out a little bit of rust just like everybody else. It's also important too, though, for those refs there, for the players to have the refs there, because a lot of times there's some new rule changes in place and it gives kind of everyone their first taste at what those might look like and how they might be called. As far as attendance of the 90-man roster, Vikes were only missing 3 guys. Amir Smith-Marset still in that walking boot. We knew about that. Hoping he's a go for training camp. And 2 offensive linemen, Schlotman and rookie Vidarian Lowe, both out with food poisoning and stomach-related illness. Coaches noted they could be back as early as today for practice number 2. Now let's get into the good stuff, the drama. Reggie loves the mini camp drama, positional battles. Garrett Bradbury took the first team reps at center. Chris Reed taking all the second team reps. Coaches said Bradbury's looked good thus far, but we'll know a lot more once we hear the pads pop in July. Mike Smith had plenty to say about Danielle Hunter, calling him a kid in a candy shop. The plan is to move him all around the front 7 on edge, lining him up over the center and the guard, standing up, maybe a little hand in the dirt, who knows. And finally, Christian Darrisaw spoke very highly of coaches who said they won't put a ceiling on him in year 2, and they hope to tap into that potential and maximize his talents at left tackle. After being thrown in the fire about midway through his rookie season, they expect him to take a big leap in year 2, like most players do. So, Reggie, 3 players highlighted there: Bradbury, Hunter, and Darrisaw. Who's the most intriguing storyline for you as you watch these last few practices before the long break?
Maybe you do 1A, 1B here. I think at the top, for sure, is Danielle Hunter. Because, he's lost the last couple seasons due to injury. And, you look at the dude, and he's just a chiseled freak. I was looking at the Twins game yesterday. And, Aaron Judge came out, hit the ball, deep center, home run.
Still up there.
But then Giancarlo Stanton came up and hit the ball to Saturn. And I was just like, the dude is jacked. I think I saw, he was wearing, this cutoff shirt. And, the dude was just jacked.
Just a great nod.
Yeah. And you look at Danielle Hunter, and it's the same thing. You just look at this dude, it's just he just looks like he's supposed to dominate everybody. And, when he's out there, he does. The dude is an absolute freak. And you talk about, imagine you're a quarterback, right? And you look over center, and all of a sudden you see Danielle Hunter just lined up right across from you. I'm terrified, man. Get this dude out of here. He's too close to me.
A rookie center. And
yeah.
You've been holding your own against a nose tackle here or there, but then you look up and Danielle Hunter, the chiseled Greek god, is right in front of you, standing over you. I mean, that's scary stuff, man. For
just
anybody.
Looking at you, and you're just like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this dude, this big guy over here? Get him out of here. But I think the team and, listening to Mike Smith talk yesterday, they have high expectations for Hunter in this new system. It's going to be a little bit different. They think that, switching from the 4-3 to the 3-4 will highlight more of Danielle's strengths. And him being on one side and Za'Darius being on the other side, it's just pick your poison. If Za'Darius and Danielle can stay healthy and you got both of those guys rushing you on the edge, at what point do you make a decision okay, I need to chip this guy or I need to double this guy? Yeah, because on the other side, then you're going to have the other guy coming at you. And that's just a scary thought. That's a scary sight. And from everything we've seen so far in camp, Danielle is looking hungry and motivated, and he's ready to go. And so if he stays healthy, I put him up there with another double-digit sack type of a season. And that's going to be very, very, very good for the Vikings defense. Now, I said if he's 1A, you got a 1B. I think Bradbury is 1B because, the Vikings already made a statement not deciding to, exercise his option. And they're just like, look, man, it's time to prove it, bucko. And, if things continue to go how they've been going in camp, you expect this guy to come up there and, Shaq will say, dominate. Time to dominate. Want to see him out there dominating. He's got to go get it. He's got to go win it. And so, like, having him out there and seeing him do his thing is going to be important not only for the Vikings, but for him, his long-term future. Like, he's playing for a new deal. He's playing for some new money. And if he goes out there and balls out this year, him and Cousins have a nice little connection, then he could be, saving himself and also kind of pushing the envelope with the Vikings now to fork up some of that cash that maybe they weren't thinking about, or maybe they weren't trying to fork up. And so that's going to be an interesting storyline as this season goes along. They drafted him, to be a guy that can be a perennial starter and just a solid overall player for them, year in and year out. And, them choosing not to extend him or extend that fifth-year option to him kind of shows you how they feel about where he is right now and his growth and his development. And he has the chance to prove that narrative wrong.
Yeah, I think when we go into training camp, a lot of the stories and buzz and headlines are going to be about those second and third team battles because the majority of the starters, they're set. They're locked and stone, cemented in there, except for maybe one or two. We're talking about maybe the nickel corner on defense and then the center and right guard position. That's it. So I think obviously you're right. All eyes are going to be on Bradbury, who apparently looks good thus far. His issue, though, is always once the pads get on, holding his weight, anchoring the pocket. We know Kirk Cousin needs a clean pocket to step into because he's a pure pocket passer. And that's why they brought in a couple more interior linemen in case he continues to struggle. But as far as just getting excited and all jacked up, I think thinking about Danielle Hunter moving all around, up and down, on the edge, over the center and guards with za'darius Smith opposite of him, like you said. Remember, he's only played in one spot under Mike Zimmer at left end, but we all knew the whole time he was capable of so much more. And you can really tell Mike Smith, the linebackers coach, is really going to try to finally maximize his talents and that versatility, that chess match of giving the offensive lineman and quarterback fits at the line of scrimmage, where to check, who's got who's blocking which guy, where are they coming from. It's going to be a lot of fun just to keep tabs on when they start sprinkling in those different wrinkles into the defensive system once we get into training camp.
I will say this too, you mentioned Christian Darrisaw. There was this song and dance last year with Rashad Hill. Remember, Kubiak would come up to the podium and he'd be like, Rashad's our guy. Rashad's the dude. And it's just like, okay, but you drafted this other guy to be the guy. Right. And, you kind of saw this musical chairs thing going with Darrisaw and Hill. Well, now Hill is a free agent. He's not with the team right now. And so now it's Darrisaw's job to go out there and do his thing. And you expect him to have that leap from year one to year two. Last year, I remember when he got drafted, he was just like, that was the best decision that they could have made. Nobody's touching Kirk. And now it's time for him to show and prove that, and now he doesn't have another guy kind of breathing down his back, looking for his starting time as well, because that guy is now on the street. So it's his job to have and his job to hold on to.
Early draft picks that the Vikings have invested in the offensive line over the last 2-3 years. Second rounder Brian O'Neill, first rounder on Bradbury, second rounder on Ezra Cleveland, and first rounder on Christian Darrisaw. And then this year they go spend another second rounder on Ed Egram. So really kind of looked at the strengths and weaknesses of Kirk Cousins, I think, saw that he's not the most mobile guy, right? Not going to be compared to Michael Vick anytime soon. And he needs a clean pocket. He needs that time and that clean pocket to step up into and make those throws. And when he has that, deadly accurate, but without it,
Mm-hmm.
this offense is always going to struggle. So glad they finally put the early resources into that offensive line to help protect Kirk. Other news and notes: wouldn't be a Vikings practice without at least one Adam Thielen circus catch. Number 19 made a one-handed tiptoe grab on the sideline, scored a TD also in 11-on-11 drills in the red zone. When national experts talk about Vikings offense, it's always JJ1, Cook 2, which is fair. I mean, that's right. And it doesn't bother Thielen one bit, I can promise you that. But just how underrated do you think Adam Thielen is to the national pundits, the surface fans that just tune in once in a while, check the YouTube highlights or box score? Remember, we pulled up Thielen's numbers last week. This guy's been producing at such a high level year in, year out. He's consistent as they come, and he just doesn't seem to get the love maybe he deserves.
You know, he may be underrated in the national circuit, but he's not underrated around here. People
Right.
know what his value is to the Vikings, and people know what his value is to that offense. Like, the dude is a dude. And I was looking at NFL Live yesterday, and they put on the screen the top 5 highest paid receivers in the league, and Thielen is in there. Believe it or not, 16.2 million he's owed this season, and he's getting paid like a top wide receiver. That's because he is one of the top wide receivers. Looking at those numbers last year, if he didn't get hurt, like, the dude was on pace for a stellar type, like Pro Bowl type season. You know, double-digit touchdowns. It was getting to the point where it was just like, all right, all this dude Adam Thielen does is score touchdowns, and he was in his bag. And then the injury happened, and he was just trying to, play through it, re-aggravated that ankle, and then he was done for the rest of the year. And we saw the emergence of a guy like Smith-Marsette. But, like, Adam Thielen, if JJ is 1A, he's 1B. Like, he's very much a him type of a guy, just a tactician, route runner, and crazy hands, great footwork. Like, the dude is a professional wide receiver in the league, and he may not be, as flashy as some of the other guys. I mean, like, Cooper Kupp is not really all that flashy, but he's just very productive, gets it done. And I think Adam Thielen is that same type of a guy. He's going to get open. He's going to find his creases and find his spots to get open for Kirk. And Kirk very much so enjoys throwing him the ball, especially in the red zone. And he's a threat out there on the field. And you would be sadly mistaken to think that, he's not a guy that you have to account for every game.
Going to be a lot of fun just to see how these core veterans and rookies gel together on this new coaching staff. Again, day 2 of practice today, final practice Thursday, and that's it for a while until training camp at the end of July. Yeah, and that's when you see these guys on Instagram posting the pics of the boats out on Lake Minnetonka, before it's go time and they clock in for training camp. One last little stretch of me time, clear the head, relax a while,
and
relax
time to
while
go.
they can, and then it's time to go. Clock it in.